Hello everyone, this is Ronnie. I'm back and I've been away from posting regular videos, which I'm sorry about. And if you'd like me to talk about anything in particular or um, talk about any subject, or you've got any questions for me, always feel free to put any questions below in the comment section, and you can subscribe for more videos below and all that kind of stuff. And on this channel, I mostly talk about raw vegan lifestyle, fruitarian lifestyle, fruit-based diet. These these are the kind of the words that cover the sort of diet that I've been journaling on this channel for the last 10 years, I suppose. And a few things to tell you about. I've got a new book out now, and it's called Raw Vegan Myths Debunked. So let me tell you why I've chosen to put time and effort into creating this book called Raw Vegan Myths Debunked. And just to let you know, it's available as part of a bundle that's happening right now. And I suppose I'll put a link below and you can check out that bundle of various books that have come together and authors that have provided brand new books as part of a bundle of recipe books. And my book's not a recipe book, but there's a lot of recipe books there, which are very useful, very helpful for those looking to make some stunning raw food recipes. And it's really amazing how quickly and how much time these recipes help you, because all these different chefs have made all these mistakes and tried out all these different combinations, and they figured out the ones that work, and you get to use them, and it's quite easy and very good. And then there's other books there. There's Dr. Douglas Graham has an audio book, which is quite interesting. Been listening to a bit of that. There's a book on sprouting, if that's the thing for you. I don't have it all at the top of my head, I'm afraid. But my book's about raw vegan myths debunked. And the reason that I wanted to write this is because I feel that one of the problems anyway, with the raw vegan community and the diet and the people that surround the diet, is they get caught up in this kind of magical thinking sometimes, and it can become a little bit dangerous and really simplistic, kind of lazy thinking. And people come into this community often as a result potentially of some kind of chronic disease symptoms or potential symptoms or whatever, and they're researching that, they're learning about healthier living, and they come across this idea of raw foods, and it sounds kind of right, it sounds kind of intuitively right. Every animal in the world eats raw food diet. Human beings must have eaten 100% raw food diet before we cooked, or had the ability to cook on a consistent basis. So, and then and we encounter all these many diseases that really destroy and harm people's lives. And more the evidence is suggesting that that's to do with lifestyle, particularly diet, and particularly certain foods. And that potentially the reason is that we've moved away from our natural diet. And all of that makes a lot of sense. And then people try out the diet and they often feel better, or they might even reverse a lot of their disease symptoms. And if they actually learn how to do the diet properly, they might be able to live on it, or they change their diet significantly anyway to add in a lot more raw foods. And that's all good, and it really helps with chronic diseases that are caused by diet. So chronic diseases that are caused by diet can be treated very well by changing diet, because it's not the diet it's not the raw vegan diet that heals people. It's just the fact that the bad diet, the poor diet, harms people. And when we take that cause of harm away, then the body does its job. Simple, easy job of normalizing itself back to health. And health is just a natural, normal state. There's nothing magical about it. There's nothing particularly, enlightened about it or whatever else. It's just back to the normal state, back to normal, back to that place where you're not unwell, you don't have symptoms, you're not burdened by disease, and you can go out and do what you want. You know, it's very simple. It's not necessarily a big magical thing, but it is a miraculous thing that people can recover from diseases, particularly ones that they're often told that there's no way back, that there's no way out. But if you have situations, illnesses, disease conditions, symptoms, things of that nature that are not caused by diet, we can't apply the same thinking and just immediately assume, well, if you change your diet, you'll heal something else. It's not caused by diet. And obviously a good example of that would be any kind of trauma. So physical trauma, like you cut yourself, you have a wound, big open wound, you have a car crash or whatever. The raw vegan diet doesn't magically heal any of these things. The body's going to heal these things anyway if it's given the ability, if it's put in the right condition to do so. Now, does the body do better on a healthier diet? Yes, every function of the body will improve on a healthier diet. The body's ability to heal will improve on a healthier diet. But the healthier diet in and of itself isn't what improves these things. And in situations where the body's put beyond its ability to heal, then just changing diet is often not going to be enough. And we may have to resort to other options, such as medical intervention and so on. So when you get a really bad cut, you get a really bad wound, do you want to just fast for a while? Probably not. You probably want to get it checked out, you want to get it cleaned properly, you want, if they're using disinfectant, whatever they use, to prevent infection happening, because infection is very deadly. At the same time, if it's figured out that you have probably some kind of bacterial infection of some kind, you're not going to just be able to change your diet. And if the antibiotics are offered and they're a very high likelihood of working, then that's probably the best option many times. And of course, you should take the advice that you get on all that stuff, not just listen to me. But what I'm trying to tell you really is that trying to rely on the raw vegan diet on its own can be harmful in certain situations. And that's what we don't want. That's what I don't want. So one of the main things I wrote about in the book was the idea that raw vegans don't need medication or something, or are magically kind of protected from almost all types of illness and disease and health challenge. And that's gone wrong for a lot of people. Some people have pushed themselves way too far because they felt invincible on the diet in terms of sports. I know Michael Arnstein had a video about going too far with his sport, with his running. Race after race after race, and eventually he kind of broke down for a while. He's recovered, but this happened to him. There are a number of people that have come to harm. I'm sure there are more that I've not heard of that have come to harm with not taking antibiotics for certain infections. It's antibiotics in the right scenarios, as far as I'm aware, are very, very powerful and work very well. Now, and I've experienced it myself. Now, if you have ulcerative colitis and they say, don't change your diet, but take antibiotics, maybe that's not going to work. Maybe that's the wrong situation to take antibiotics. If you have any other kind of digestion issue and they think, well, it could be a bacterial issue, but you're on a terrible diet, it's probably the diet that should be experimented with first. Now, once again, you take your own advice on that. You take the advice of the people that are able to look at your body and understand all that stuff. But there's a lot of conditions that are disease related, that are diet related, that prescribing antibiotics is probably not all that effective for people. And people have that kind of experience and it turns them against antibiotics entirely, or it turns them against medication entirely, because they think, well, this medication doesn't do anything for me. In fact, it might make things worse. And it might be the case in that situation. But every health situation, every health choice is a different choice. You know, it's a different choice each time. So you don't want to fix and think, well, this is for me. What am I trying to say? You don't want to say, I just want to have this one way of thinking. What's natural is best. Raw vegan diet is best. I'll clean up my diet. I'll do a fast. And even worse, I'll do a dry fast. You know, you don't want to go down that kind of road. And it might be appropriate in certain scenarios. Obviously, it's always good to change your diet, make your diet better. You shouldn't wait to get sick, really. A lot of people will, because, you know, we're not that proactive a lot of the time. But that's the case. But it's definitely a myth that people get into this mindset. It's a dangerous mindset, this simplistic mindset and it's called the appeal to nature fallacy sort of thing. What's natural is better, what's man-made is bad. Anything man-made is bad, what's natural is good. It's so easy for people to buy into that. It's the alternative to this other side, which is the really trusting in science side of thing. You know, neither of them is right. It depends on the situation. You have to look at the evidence at hand. So there's a problem with both sides. They think that we're wacky because we're saying, well, maybe people should change their diet. They think that that's quackery. But there's plenty of evidence, more and more, showing that. And there always has been evidence showing that. But there's enough people that are trying to apply diet to situations that it won't really work for. And it's mostly situations either that your body went so far with disease that it just can't heal. It just doesn't have the capacity anymore. And that's sometimes going to be the case, regardless of how well you treat yourself. If you've pushed yourself to that limit, it can't go. If you've got massive tumors all over the place, like you're going to struggle. If you're at the start of a disease, you may be more likely to reverse it. But if you're way at the end, close to death, you know, it's going to be tough. It's really going to be tough for your body to have endured that sort of punishment and then be able to heal everything. Is going to be difficult. Plus, on top of that, you're trying to change your diet and going through all the mental, emotional, social, physical stuff that comes with changing your diet. Like, it's not the right time to go through that process. So, I just, it's probably a bit annoying to people, but we need to not be so lazy in our thinking. What's natural is good, unnatural is bad, blah, 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 blah. You know, we can't be doing that. So that's one of the things I talk about in the book. And there's some examples in the book of people that have come to harm because of this completely anti-medical approach. By the way, there's as many examples on the other side, there's probably more, of people that completely avoided the dietary change route. Of course, there's millions of people that died because of that. Of course, most of the people that died from COVID died really from poor lifestyle. That's what they died from. They put themselves at such a brink, at the brink of collapse, and then this feather came along and blew them over, you know. And any feather could have come along and blown them over. That's how I kind of feel about it. Controversial, maybe, I know, but it's quite obvious to anyone who understands and believes diet causes disease, and it's quite simple, it's quite obvious, and causes people to have major disease symptoms and causes people to get really sick. It's so obvious that of course the sick people are going to get sicker and are going to die and are being more at risk of death. Anyway, I talk about that in the book. I talk about some of the practices that surround the raw vegan diet and lifestyle scene, not necessarily things promoted by many of the experts, long-term raw vegans, leaders, and people like that in the community, but things like dry fasting, things like urine therapy, things like breatharianism. I've went into a bit of a deep dive into these things. A deep dive. It's right deep down into them. So I took time, I researched it. I think you'll be happy with I hope you'll be happy. I'd love your feedback. But I feel like I've taken the time to make it worth your while to read it. It's only about 110, 115 pages. So you could probably read it in a few days or a few settings or whatever. But you can also just go to the bit you think's right. Now there's only 10 myths. I want to write more. I actually realise I have way more to research. But that's a big topic for me. The ones that I've left in. But what are some of the other things I've talked about in the book? The deficiency thing. Anyone that has followed my channel for a while will probably know that I am not a big fan of the whole concept of people having deficiencies on a raw vegan diet, and all the talk about deficiencies and all the talk almost as if it's inevitable. Oh, you can have the best diet possible, but unfortunately we can't trust the food supply. We don't know what's in the food. We don't know what's in the soil. I went into that as well. I've told a lot of you before, the soil degradation, depletion thing, all the food is lacking nutrients. I've told you this is not correct. I've went in deep in this, well, quite deep into the book. Research, articles, references, all that stuff. You want to see the references, you want to see the research. There it is. But there's a lot of myths. This appeal to nature thing, once again, there's a lot of myths being spread. A lot of myths being spread about the soil, about the earth, about the quality of the food. And there's no cause for alarm when it comes to the level of nutrition in the food. And it's absolutely true that there's bad food in the supermarket. There's bad fruit. There's fruit that is not going to ripen. And if you've not learned that yet, and you don't understand that, and you don't know that you have to be discriminating, you have to discriminate and learn to discriminate between good fruit and not so good fruit, then you're just at the start of your journey. But don't give up. Don't give up on eating healthier foods because you bought apricots and they didn't go ripe. I did that too. I made those mistakes. I bought things I thought I really want that to be good. I kind of know it's not going to be good, but I want it to be good, so I'm going to buy them. And spent money on fruit that I had to throw away. So you can give up at that point and go, oh, the fruit's all bad. Or you can, improve your ability to discriminate in terms of what's good fruit and what's not so good fruit, and learn the different varieties that you like, and learn to look at the fruit and see, does this look good? Does it genuinely look good to me? And the fact that whether the food's good or not is not likely to be down to the soil or anything like that, or a lack of nutrients. It's probably to do with the time that it's picked. Things like apricots, I don't know, they're just not that commonly good from the supermarket. Maybe people don't buy them that much, so there's not a big demand, but it's a difficult job trying to sell fruit at the end of the day. It's coming in, it's starting to go off really quick. Once it's ripe, people don't want to buy it. And people sort of prefer to buy fruit unripe, most people do, and they buy it unripe. It doesn't even matter because they're probably not going to eat it anyway. Like, it's just a weird thing that people buy, and they have a little bit of it now and again. And they never really become an expert, a master, a connoisseur at choosing fruit and understanding fruit and really the fine art of it. There's a fine art, sort of. It's really your own instinct. But I'm telling you, people don't need to worry about these deficiencies. And it's just fascinating. It's like people say, well, can you get enough zinc? Can you get enough manganese? Can you get enough magnesium? Can you get... And they talk about all these various minerals and things like that. There's never been any cause for concern throughout human history about anyone getting enough of these minerals. When was the major zinc deficiency problem? Like when? Where? Who? You know, you'd think that everyone's low in zinc. How come people are low in zinc or magnesium or something? Why are people low in these but on a raw vegan diet, but not on a worse diet? You know. Now, what minerals? It's always minerals. What minerals are an issue? Iron. Is that because people don't have enough iron in their diet? No. People on a standard diet get iron problems. Is that anything to do with not having enough iron in their diet? No, they have enough iron in their diet. It's not. Deficiency issues are often not to do, especially apparently mineral issues, not to do with actually the amount of that nutrient in the diet. It's the body's ability to use those nutrients that are being consumed. And in iron, that's definitely a problem with people. They have enough iron in their diet. That's not the reason that their body is struggling with iron deficiency. So, you know, the minerals. We need to make sure we get the minerals. It's always minerals for some reason. No one ever brings up the actual deficiencies that people are really at risk of. They can come up really quickly. Scurvy, beriberi, pellagra. Why? Because no one ever gets these anymore. The actual deficiencies, vitamin D deficiency, actually show it in the book. There's a study where raw vegans had higher vitamin D than people on a standard diet. Why? One, they were thinner, so their ability to absorb vitamin D was better. Number two, they were more conscious about getting vitamin D, so they went out into the best source of vitamin D, which is the sunlight. Raw vegans are conscious of that. So, this fear of deficiency is spread by who? By supplement industry. And unfortunately, people in the raw vegan movement are buying into this as well. And they want to support the supplement industry for some reason. And worthless companies, worthless products. Well, worthless products, maybe the company's fine, but the products are worthless in terms of helping your health. I give plenty of evidence in my book about the fact that there's plenty of research showing that multivitamins, supplements, anything like that, there's no evidence showing these things give a benefit. There's actually evidence in some places, in some studies, showing they provide a harm. Overall, it's basically zero. No particular positive, not really any particular negative, although there has been some studies that suggest that. But overall, no benefit. You're just spending money on something that doesn't give you any benefit. Much better off spending it on fruits and vegetables in the shops. That's where all of the dietetic, well, the American, the British dietetic associations will say for you to get your nutrients. Get your nutrients from food. Get your nutrients from food. A vegan diet is appropriate for all stages of life. These are all scientific statements by mainstream bodies. Vegan diet is appropriate for all ages and stages of life. That's American Medical Association. And, or maybe it's the American Dietetic Association. And then get your nutrition from food. You don't get nutrition from supplements. It's not a good strategy. And what are all these deficiencies people are worried about? They don't exist anymore. And that's a reality. Even people on bad diets don't get these deficiencies. And then people will say, well, that's because things are supplemented into these bad diets. And that's to some degree true. But it's also just the fact that it's not that difficult to get the vitamins and minerals that we require. It really isn't that difficult. And there's a lot of people on very unhealthy diets, but they have plant foods in their diet. They have things like potatoes. They have things like some form of whole wheat product or whatever, they probably have some form of fruits and vegetables, even people on a really unhealthy diet on some level. And so they're maybe skating along, but they're getting what they need. You know, and we can get these vitamins from a wide range of sources. But raw vegan diet, I've not seen in my particular experience this huge number of people with deficiency issues. The B12 thing is something that people need to be conscious of. And vegans certainly have lower B12 generally in studies and things. They tend to have lower B12. Whether that definitely corresponds with deficiency issues or disease issues is I'm not sure if there's an absolute confirmed link there actually. Definitely lower, but more cases of actual symptoms of B12, I'm not sure if that's been claimed yet. Maybe it is. But I've went into that in detail in the book, if you want to check that out. And a few other things in the book. A few other things. But basically I'm trying to guide people away from all this negative thinking, paranoid thinking, deficiency thinking, magic thinking that gets people into a bad place. The diet and the lifestyle is pretty simple, basic, works really well. And the struggle people have with it is mostly transition. And once people get onto this diet, it shouldn't be much of a problem. You know. But humans want to go and eat what they want to eat. People want to go back to eating what they want to have. And they're going to make up ideas for why they're deficient or whatever. For why they can't sustain the diet. And that's unfortunate. But anyway, the book comes along with this Ultimate Raw Vegan bundle. It's organised by Chris Kendall and Melissa Raimondi. Both of them, Melissa Maris. Both of them have been at the UK Fruit Festival multiple occasions. They've spoken at the festival multiple times. The Canada Fruit Festival, both of them spoke as well. So I've been involved and around them a lot, spent a lot of time with them. Really happy to be part of the bundle. They do a lot of work. They bring a lot of good people together. There's a lot of promotion that will be going on this week. I'll be doing a lot of interviews. On Instagram, if you want to follow me there, at FruityRonster, you can follow some of those interviews. And that's all I really have to say, I suppose. I don't know. Yeah, so go and check out the bundle. Go and get it if it seems right to you. If you're a beginner at this, if you're someone starting off, I think it's a real good offer for someone that's looking to start doing some learning, doing some research, doing some recipes. For people that are long-term raw vegan people, maybe it's not exactly for you. Maybe it's not for you, but you can go and check it out and see if there's something in there for you. And at the very least, you're sort of supporting the raw vegan movement in some way. But you might find something in there. I mean, if you're looking for new recipes and stuff, for sure. And I think my book is worth it for long-term raw vegans, because I've seen many long-term raw vegans make these mistakes. And I'd really like them to move away from this magical thinking towards a bit more reality. And it's a journey that we all have to take. So anyway, thank you for watching and supporting the channel, everything else. I really appreciate all of you for watching, giving some interest, and I'll see you in another video.